Let us look at some practice questions from AP style questions. Number 2 here. We have f and g function. F is given in this way. 1 plus x plus e to the x squared minus 2x. And then g of x is this one. Now let R and S be the two regions enclosed by f and g shown. Find the sum of the areas of R and S. So now, I can do this one in two different ways. One way is using the absolute value so that I don't have to worry about which one is top, which one is bottom, hence meaning the area, one area being positive versus one area being negative. If you put down the absolute value, it will always be positive. Or I can actually find the intersection and have two separate intervals. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to find the intersection. So I'm going to take out my calculator. And then my first one, my function f of x, I believe it was 1 plus x plus e to the x squared minus 2x. Alright, so that's basically what's happening for those. And then then I think it's going to give me the picture. Now, second one, in fact, is not this way. Second one is, so you can see the blue one is the graph that which we are looking at. So in other words, from here, this will be the blue one. Let me highlight this one for you. This one is the f of x. Now, let's try to go for the second one, which is x to the 4th power, and then minus 6.5x squared plus 6x plus 2. Oops. I think it's supposed to be plus. Okay. Now, press enter, and when I sketch it, then you can see that's basically what's going to be happening. So from here, I'm looking for this intersection right over here. How am I going to find that? I'm going to go for intersection. So second, calc, intersect number 5, first curve, second curve. I just have to go near when I guess around there. So it was 1.83. Oh, no, actually 1.032. So then, based upon this one, I get to realize that (1.032) and then 2.401. All right, so then in this case, and that was my second curve, which is this one. F of x was this one. So what I'm going to do is, for the first function, to find the sum of the area, R goes from 0 through 1.032. And then it's the purple minus blue. Purple is what? G. So I'm going to have g of x minus f of x dx plus 1.032 to all the way to 2. It's going to be blue minus purple. Blue was f of x, so we have f of x minus g of x. So when I do that with my calculator, I should be able to get my answer. So the way that I'm going to do with the calculator here is I'm going to quit, and if I type in x value, it's going to give me the intersection. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to store that to a, alpha a. And from now on, a is always that value. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to integrate. So math, integrate number 9. It was from 0 through a, alpha a. And then initially it was what? The red one minus blue one. Red one was just y sub 2. So this one, number 2 minus number 1, and then dx. So that should be that should give me some value. And the second one plus it's going to be 2 was the top. Oops. Bottom was a, alpha a. And then it was y sub 1, because it's the other way around, y sub 1 minus y sub 2. So I just have to add up those two things together. Oh, this one already added them up, so I get 2.00. So my answer becomes 2.004 becomes the answer. All right, so it wasn't that bad. Number B, region S be the base of the solid whose cross-section perpendicular to x-axis is a square. Since my cross-section is a square, I need to figure out the difference between these two, which is same thing as here, but I need to square that, find the volume. So that's very similar to the second portion of my equation. So that is 1.032 to 2, and then it's going to be f of x minus g of x quantity squared dx. That's the part B. So let's try to do that. So I'm going to integrate number 9. So from a to 2, and then it was going to be y sub 1 minus y sub 2. And then I'm going to square that dx. So 1.283. So my answer becomes 1.283. Becomes my answer. Let's see part C. Let h be the vertical distance between f and g. Vertical distance simply means difference in y values, which we already have done earlier, here and then here, in fact, in region S. Oh, so that means we're just looking at the second portion here. Find the rate at which h is changing with respect to x when x equals 1.8. So then what I'm looking at here is h is equal to, well, I'll say h of x is equal to f of x minus g of x, because we are on the section S here, blue minus purple. But we're looking at the rate of change. So dh dx, that's in fact equal to f prime of x minus g prime of x. That's what I need to do. And then at x equals 1.8. So I'm going to put that into my calculator. So what I'm going to do is now, I'm going to do math and then number 8 and div. So it's going against x. And then it was, I believe it was y sub 1 first. When x equals 1.8 minus, minus, it's the same thing, math number 8, x, y sub 2, 1.8. So in that case, I want you to take the derivative when x equals 1.8, so as the other one. And then I want you to find the difference between those two, which was equal to negative 3.112. Oh no, not 112, 812, I believe. 812. 812. So that's basically our answer. All right, so with that one, I'm going to close up for the first question. Let's go for the second question. Second question is without the calculator. So first, what I need to do is find the average value. When they say average value, how do you find the average value of the radius? Average value is integral of a to b of the function f of x dx all over b minus a. Meaning this is the y values, but over the interval. So I'm just dividing it by. So numerator is a sum of the y values, and the bottom is the interval. So that's how we can find the average. So then in this case, the way which we can do is integral, and then since h goes from 0 through 10, so we have 0 through 10 of 120, 1 over 20, 3 plus h squared dh all over 10 minus 0. Then I can bring out 1 over 20 to the front, and here 3 becomes 3h. Second one is h cubed over 3. That goes from 0 through 10. But the thing is, when I divide whole thing by 10, I can just have, instead of 1 over 20, I can make it into 1 over 200. So when I plug in 0, everything becomes 0. But when I plug in 10, the first one becomes 30. Second one is 1,000 over 3. So what we end up getting is 1 over 200 times 30 plus 1,000 over 3. So that becomes my final answer. But if you have to simplify this one, you should be able to get, you can stop here, but if you want to continue, you would have been 109 over 60. And then unit should be in inches. Since in this question they didn't specify, indicate the unit, this wasn't part of the rubric, but that's basically what the value would have been. They want you to find the volume. So volume, but how do you find the volume? Wait a minute, we've been only doing the rotations. So that's right. In fact, what you can do is you can imagine this is the y-axis, and then this is a graph that turns around it. Imagine that that's the axis where it turns around. Then what's the pi? Volume is pi, and then 0 through 10. What's r? R, in fact, they gave it to us here. 1 over 20, 3 plus h squared. So pi r squared dr. That's basically what we can do. So I can bring out 1 over 20 squared, which is 1 over 400. So what we end up getting is pi over 400. And then 0 through 10, we need to expand this one. So we get 3 squared, it becomes 9. Plus 6h squared plus h to the 4th power dh. So then we get pi over 400. So we get 9h plus 2h cubed plus h to the 5th power over 5. 0 through 10. Obviously, when you plug in 0, everything disappears. When you plug in 10, what we end up getting is pi over 400. And then we get 90 plus 2000 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 5. And that becomes my solution. And then this would be cubic inches because it was a volume. But once again, that wasn't part of the rubric, but that would have been the answer. Let's look at part C. So the funnel contains the liquid that is draining from the bottom. At the instant where the height of the liquid is 3, and the radius of the surface of the liquid is decreasing at the rate of this much. So that means dr dt. At this instant, what is the rate of change of the height respect to time? So in this case, we know that r equals 1 over. Let me just distribute this one. Then you get to realize that it is 3 over 20 plus h squared over 20. But they're trying to find dh dt, while dr dt was 1/5. So when you take the derivative, dr dt is equal to 2 comes to the front, so we have h over 20 times dh dt. But h, we know what h is equal to. H is equal to 3. And dr dt is equal to 1 over 5. So then this one now becomes 1 over 5. But since it's decreasing, I'm going to put down the negative sign, which is equal to 3 over 20. Actually, what I forgot to do was I forgot to bring down 2 here. So therefore, this becomes 10. And then h dh dt. H was in fact equal to 3, so we actually already put it over here. And then dh dt. Then what do we end up getting? dh dt becomes negative 2/3 inches per second. So negative 2/3 inches per second is my final answer. All right, with that one, I'm going to close it, and I'll see you later. Bye.